best conference I've ever been to. Worth every single cent. Every single cent.
Anybody can 10x their company in a year. I think this is the place to get the tools, the training, all the resources you need. And I think that those who don't 10x by this time next year, you just didn't try hard enough.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jared Glant. On the Cardone Zone, this is Young Hustlers. Every Thursday at noon East Coast Standard Time, I come and I help you out, man. I help you out. I've been able to put a few things together in my life. Working for Grant, I've been able to learn a few things. I've actually been able to get surrounded by some of the biggest and baddest experts in the world. And I've learned a few things. I've learned a few things from them, and the purpose of this show is to share those things with you. So call into the show with your questions today. We are talking about how to find your first job. Now, if you already have a job, don't turn the show off, okay? I'm talking about how to find your first real job, right? So if you work at McDonald's, that's probably not where you want to end up. Pay attention, all right? If you're in a job you hate, pay attention because you're not in the right job yet. So today's show is about how to find the right job. I'm going to share with you 3 things that you can do, because I know it can be very overwhelming. You're like, wow, what do I do? What do I even want to do? Where do I want to be in life? What kind of industries and careers are available that can help me like live this Instagram lifestyle that I see all over everywhere? Like, how does it all come together? It can be very overwhelming. And then you go to school and you spend 4 years thinking you're going to learn how to do it there, 5 years, probably 6 years. If you're like me, I was a little slow. You don't have to be smart to do amazing things in life. We just had a group in here called the Worth Group. It's a massive, major company, global company. I think they're a $12 billion company, and they were talking about what they do to actually bring people that are maybe not college graduates. They're trying to get into the workforce. They want a career path. They want to find a home somewhere. And he was talking about how they basically have created a program where people can come in, they can get certified, they can get educated, they can get basically a sales degree, move into from a junior sales role into a sales role, and then up through directors. And there's so many companies out there that have these types of paths. And typically they are the bigger companies because of the investment they make. But that may not always be the right bet. You know, if you're looking for the career path that's all planned out for you, maybe a company like Worth is where you want to end up. W-U-R-T-H, German company. Great guys. But for those of you who are like, hey, maybe the corporate route isn't for me. I'm not looking for a 25-year home. I'm not looking for a $150,000 a year salary and stable and secure and steady Eddie. I want to go big. You're probably more in my boat, right? Like for me, I didn't ever see myself as, you know, I'm going to lock in somewhere and make 150 grand a year and that's going to be my home forever, you know, and I want to buy a house and, you know, have a couple kids and just like, that's not what my goal was. And so based on my goal, I was actually able to find a working environment that supported what I was trying to do. So the number one thing that you have to do if you're looking to find your first real job is, number one, you have to envision what your life looks like in the future. If you don't know the direction the racetrack is going to take, how could you possibly know that you're taking a step in the right direction? Now, this is where you have to get creative. I think people bypass this step, and when they actually get into the workforce, they get really confused and overwhelmed because there's so many things out there, and they end up making a decision either for now, today, or for, guys, for now, today, or for now in the next like 1 to 2 or 3 years. Like, what's going to be the short-term gain that I have? And so what I want you to do is I want you to actually envision where you want to be. What does the finish line look like for you? And I'm not saying you have to quit or retire or whatever, but like, what do things look like for you when you're 60 years old? Like, what type of lifestyle do you want to have? And write those things down. Like, you have to get connected with the destination so that you can map out your path, right? I promise you, it's going to give you so much more focus and direction. But first thing you got to know is, dude, what's that first step? So you have to begin with the end in mind. You've got to know where you're going so that you get started in the right direction. So what do you envision yourself? Maybe you want to retire at 55 or 50 or 45. I don't know what your deal is, but you need to figure out what that is. And make sure when you're doing that, the same thing goes into setting goals, right? The same process applies for setting goals. Where do you want to finish? And then where do you need to go today to move you closer to that goal and target? So if you want to retire at 50 years old or at 60 years old, do you have any idea how much money that's going to take? Like how much money do you need to live off of every month at 60 years old? How much money do you need to have put away, or what investments do you need to have in place so you're pulling that kind of cash flow out? Assume that Social Security is going to be gone by the time most of us get there. Like, what does that situation look like? So let's say you want to retire at 60 and you want to have a lifestyle where you can live off of $15,000 a month, which at 60 years old, I think, in most parts of the country, that's probably a decent way to retire if you could keep that income. So then you have to start working back. Well, if I had an investment like Cardone Capital, for example, that could pay a 6% preferred return. We didn't count any of the upside, any of the appreciation, any of the refinances, none of that stuff. If all we calculated was the cash flow, like $15,000 a month is 6% of what number? Now, if you want to factor in taxes, you got to go $15,000 a month plus your taxes. And then what number is that 6% of? So let's just say that number is $3 or $4 million. So you need to get to $3 or $4 million invested. Let's see, it would actually be probably closer to $3.5 million, something like that. $3.5–4 million invested working so that you could pull $15,000 a month at a 6% return after taxes, okay? So now what you need to figure out is how much money do you need to bank away every single year. I'm always super conservative with this. Not factoring on appreciation, not factoring on doubles, not factoring on the economy freaking taking off or the stock market taking off or whatever happens. Just super conservative. What do you need to put away every single month in order to hit that target by the time you're 60? You go down to 55, the timeline accelerates. You go down to 50, it accelerates even more. And what type of investment can you put that in that can never be destroyed? This is where you need to start. You have to start with the end in mind, because if you know that you have 25 years to make $4 million so that you can invest it and then have residual income or passive income that you can live off of for the rest of your life, then you need to start making decisions today like that. And that's why so many people, they lose purpose, they lose engagement, they lose focus in their jobs because they don't know where they're going. Or if they do know where they're going, they're in a job that's not going to get them where they want to go. All of these things are very important. When we come back, I'm going to give you the next two things you need to focus on to find the right job for you now. This is Young Hustlers.
Mr. Cardone, this is Vince Del Monte. One of your sales guys just called me and asked if I'd got any results since your 3-day sales boot camp, and I said, you better believe it. It's over $200,000 in 30 days.
Without that boot camp, we wouldn't have had a good system in place, and thanks to Grant and thanks to that boot camp, we went from $200,000 to $600,000.
And since that boot camp, man, my income went from about 6,000 now to 11,500, almost 12,000, and this is just starting, man.
I would recommend for anybody that is interested in increasing their sales, increasing their profit, they've got to get to the next boot camp.
Wealth Dynamics believes everyone has the God-given right to own their potential. Most of us don't because we spend 40 hours per week serving the 40-year-to-life sentence, trading our precious time for worthless paper called money. We live on an economic planet and time and money do need to be exchanged, but it doesn't need to be your time or your money. We teach our clients to secure income-producing assets that make the time and money exchange for you so you can buy your freedom back and live a life of abundance and prosperity. To get there, we must know how to make money, how to keep it, and how to multiply it. Wealth Dynamics provides coaching, education, accountability, and community to help you build wealth. Join our coaching program, get educated on Wealth Dynamics University, and begin networking with the Wealth Dynamics Mastermind Group today. To get started, go to wealthdynamics.com. Growing your future, protecting your past. J.D. Frost & Company, PLLC, is a public accounting firm. Offers a variety of assurance and tax services to businesses and individuals in the Chattanooga and surrounding areas. We focus on construction and manufacturing industries. Our primary objective is client satisfaction through excellent customer service. Work with the best. We are accredited by the BBB. This is J.D. Frost & Company for a full suite of tax assurance and management accounting services. Visit us right now at frostcpas.com.
Hey, we're back, Young Hustlers on the Cardone Zone. If you want to call into the show, we're talking about a great topic. I really can't wait to get some callers, but I want to cover two more things real quick. We are talking about how to find your first job, and really what this is how to find the first right job, like that the job that actually gets you on track to going where you want to go. And number one thing you've got to do, very first thing you've got to do, is you got to determine where you want to end up. So you can start with the beginning in mind, and you can make sure that the job you have is preparing you for where you want to go, right? Otherwise, you're going to end up like most people that are 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. They've never identified where they want to end up, and so they spend 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years, basically their 20s, confused. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know if the job they're in is going anywhere, and they end up with disengagement, dissatisfaction, and then they don't feel like they have purpose, and that's why it's so confusing, at least in my opinion. When I got super clear on where I wanted to go, it was like the fog lifted, and I was able to just put the accelerator down and start grabbing gears. So number one thing you have to do is you have to envision where you want to end up. That is going to help you understand how much money you need to make. That's why all this is important. Okay? So after you figure out like where you want to end up, how much it's going to take to get there, you work your way backwards into how much money you need to put away every year so that you can hit that investment target. Keep in mind, like, be super conservative here. Assume that your investment is going to pay you nothing. Like assume that if you're going to put $100,000 a year away, or $10,000 a year away, or $50,000, whatever the number is, assume it pays you nothing. That's how conservative you have to be. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to hit your target much earlier than you expected, which is a great problem to have. Hey, by the way, remember how you said you wanted to retire at 60 when you made 15 grand a month? Well, at 50, you're making 25 grand a month and off your passive income investments, and man, you could give it up. You could retire now if you wanted to. I mean, that'd be a great surprise, right? 10 years early, hitting the target. So like, super conservative with this. I always try to be so conservative. So you know how much money you're going to need. You know how much money you need to put away on an annual basis. Don't calculate any interest return on any of that money that you're investing from this point forward, and you're going to hit your target quicker. The second thing you need to do is you need to look at how much money you need to make in order to put away X amount of dollars into your investment fund, right? And so that means now we have to start figuring out, okay, what type of job can I get where I can make 100 or 150 or 200 or whatever you work the math out to be. Okay, this is going to take some time to figure this out, but we're talking about the rest of your life. Like, you want to live the life you want, or do you want to look back at 60 and go, man, I wish I would have done it differently? This is very important, so you've got to spend the time to do this. And then when you get discouraged, you've got to go back and you've got to do it all over again so you get re-excited about it. Okay? So the second thing you have to do, we've identified how much money, how much we need to put away, how much we need to make per year in order to do that, what kind of jobs actually pay that kind of money, okay? And typically those are not entry-level jobs, right? If let's just say your target is you have to make 200 grand a year, that's not going to be an entry-level job, okay? So now you have to start figuring out where that first step is going to come in, okay? Let's say that a regional sales director is the target job that you need to get because they make between 200 and 250 grand a year. Now you need to figure out, okay, what's that first step? Which way am I going, okay? So what this actually means, and this is really the second point, is your first job should do one of two things for you. It should pay you money, or you should be learning a ton. Both of those contribute to where you're going. The problem is people get stuck in the money and forget about the education that it's going to take to get them to the next step. So like somebody hit me up the other day, they're like, hey, I can go work for company A on Instagram. I try to answer all my DMs. Sometimes I get behind because they go into the other folder and then it gets all crazy. But I really do try to answer people when they ask me questions. And they said, should I go work? I have a job working here, company A, things are good, I'm making this much money, but I have an opportunity to go work at company B, and the CEO of this company used to run for Europe, a major company. It's going to be less money, but I'd be reporting directly to him. What should I do? And the company he was in was a smaller company. And I replied and I was like, hey, look, well, if you want to ever own your own deal or you want to be more effective wherever you can go, like the smaller company that you're running right now, like that's great because you get to touch a lot of things. But when you go work for a big company, you learn different things. You learn processes, you learn systems, you learn how to scale. And if you want to go really big, you've got to learn how to scale. So the great thing, two separate conversations, the great thing about your first company being a small company is you are in very close proximity to everything that's going on. You get to see how marketing works for creating leads, and you get to see how accounting works with sales, and you get to see how the administrative and customer support team deals with problems that are created by the sales team because the marketing team did X and the sales team didn't get the message, so they communicated to the customer wrong, and the customer called the customer service team. You get to see all of those things happen in a small company, okay? But what you don't get to see is you don't get to see the machine. You don't get to see the pegs and the pieces that a machine has in place in a big company that gets them moving and rolling. So the first thing you need to do if you want to get landed with the right first job is you have to envision where you want to end up. Second thing is you have to make your first step into something where you're either going to learn a lot, small company, close proximity to everything going on, or go work for a big company where you can see systems and processes and structures, okay? So number one, number two. Number three is now you need to start identifying the players in your area where you can actually go and take advantage of those opportunities. So you have a couple options here. Number one, you can stay local. You can stay local and you can try to figure out what companies fit the bill, either the more kind of entrepreneurial route with a smaller company or the more process system corporate route with a big company. You need to figure out one of two things. Number one, am I going to focus on the players that I have in my area, kind of narrow your focus, or am I going to find a couple companies that are maybe outside of my area, outside of my state, maybe even just outside of your city? So if you live in El Centro, California, and you want to get a job with a big company, you know, San Diego or LA is probably a better place for you to be in, right? So you have to be willing to move outside of El Centro or, you know, Boise, Idaho, or, you know, San Antonio. I don't know. You got to move out of an area to find a bigger opportunity. So sometimes that means traveling to a different city. Sometimes that means traveling out of state. So I made a decision to move out of state for a job, and I've also made a decision to move out of my city to another city for a job. So both will get there, but you need to be open. That's why Grant says don't buy a house. That's why he says don't get socked down with all this debt, is because it will trap you, it will paralyze you, And if you get stuck, let's just say working in a bar, and you're making $6 or $7 grand a month, and most of it's cash, so you're not reporting it, you get under this illusion like you're making money, and the money can actually trap you. And that's why I said it's so important to focus on what you can learn, not just what you can earn. And you might get lucky and get into a sales organization like ours where sales guys can make a ton of money and learn stuff. But the truth is, you need to start checking boxes and scratching things off of the list if you want to move forward. When we get back from the break, I'm going to go to callers because I know we got a bunch of rocking questions. This is Young Hustlers on the Cardone Zone.
Today, the convergence of technology and imagination has reached new heights, which are reflected in the advancements that we see in every area of our lives. Over the last couple of years, AI machines have made their way into our homes, the battlefield, our workplace, and even into our hands in the form of smartphones with voice recognition. Digital assistants for the home represent an opportunity if you know how to take advantage of them. That is where Nico's Computer Engineering comes in. Tim Clark brings you the latest news about the most up-to-date strategies to position yourself in the digital landscape, finding a path to productive business applications and how to automate them with artificial intelligence are just a few of the topics we cover in our weekly segments.
Nico's Computer Engineering is here to find a unique solution for you.
The more comfortable you get with yourself, the less scary it is for people to actually see you.
We all know as parents that there's nothing more powerful than a mother's love. And how can I be that extraordinary parent for my kids?
And how kind we are to each other.
The more that you love you, the less you care if others love you.
The idea is to really just choose to be with yourself. The challenges and the struggles and the frustrations and the self-doubt and insecurities can often keep us from living. We can master our lives from the inside out.
Based out of Jacksonville, Florida, this family-owned husband and wife team of realtors is there to serve you, track every process step by step, get you from contract into your new home or out of your current home sold and on the market. Chad and Sandy Newman will take you, market your home, and make sure that you will receive the best customer service ever. They're going to sell your property above market value in 30 days or less. With over 12 years of experience, this team is there for you. To learn more, go to chadandsandy.com. That's chadandsandy.com right now.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Jared Glant. This is Young Hustlers. This is the Cardone Zone. Major announcement tonight. Major announcement. 5 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. This is a GrowthCon announcement. It's very exciting. I got to tell you, I'm very close to everything that's happening with the GrowthCon, the planning, the preparation, and this is without a doubt going to be the most badass event on the planet. We've got the speaker lineup, the majority probably, we're going with fewer speakers, longer sessions, and most of the speakers, 90% of the speakers have never spoken on our stage before. So it's going to be unreal. Huge announcement tonight, 5 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. Go to 10xgrowthcon.com/live so that you can get it. Also, if you go on Facebook, you can register for the Facebook Live so you get a reminder. That's always a good way to do it. Make sure you don't forget because you will want to be there. 2 major announcements. So make sure you're there and you can take advantage of it first. So we're talking today about finding the right job. Again, if you already have a job, don't disconnect. This is about finding the right job. Finding a job that actually gets you on track to where you want to go. So that you don't have a job where you're showing up every day and you're just like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Where is this going? Like you have all this uncertainty and all this doubt. So the first thing you have to do is you have to figure out where you want to go, where you want to be in life, where you want to end up. what type of retirement income, if you want to call it that, do you want to end up with? How much money you got to put away in order to get that return? How much you got to put away every year in order to hit that investment target? How much money you got to make every year to make your monthly or your annual investment allocation, right? Okay, so we've worked all the way backwards. Now we are in a position where we know how much money we got to make per year in order to invest X. And now we're going through and we're starting to pinpoint, like, okay, what type of role do I need to end up in? And that is going to take you to step 2. So you've worked all the way back. You've envisioned the future. You've worked all the way back. And now we need to go to the second step, which is like your first job. Is it going to educate you a ton on the intricacies of the business, every piece of business? Or are you going to take a step towards the corporate route? I would tell you that a lot of folks that want to be entrepreneurs today, they start a business before they've actually ever been in a business and understand how a business works, and they struggle a lot. Like, don't get disillusioned. Like, you can learn a lot from working with somebody else. Work for a company that's a small company, 25 to 50 employees. At that point, I'd say they're stable enough to where you don't have to worry about coming in and then the doors being locked and closed and the building being empty because they went out of business, right? So they're usually pretty established at that point. But it's small enough that you could see everything happening. And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, you should go work for a company just so you can experience some of the things. You can talk to customers that have customer service issues. You can maybe end up in a sales role where you can focus on selling the valuable final product of a company. You can understand how to deal with competitors and objections and things like that. You can see how marketing works. I mean, it's such a great experience. I've had such an amazing opportunity here working for Grant to really go from 3 employees to 120 and see all these different things grow. I mean, it's such an education. And, that doesn't mean you got to stay somewhere. I've been with Grant for 8 years. I'm not going anywhere, right? That doesn't mean you got to do that, but you should definitely go sit in a company, go work for a company for a year or 2 or 3 so that you can get that type of experience. So when you go start on your own, you're not doing everything for the first time. Right? Practice on somebody else's dime. That's what I would do, right? So you're going to either go that route where you're going to learn a lot about like very tactical, like this is what I need to do, X's and O's, blocks and tackles, because we need to sell something today. The other route is going to be the corporate route. That's the route that's going to put you in a much more structured environment. You're talking hundreds of employees, millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in sales. And you get to see the reports and the structure and the hierarchy and how all those things work, which is really important to know if you want to go big. Now, for me, I would say do them both, right? Find a small company that you can go work at. You can earn your stripes, or you can cut your teeth, or whatever you want to call it. Do that for 1 to 4 years, right? And get in a role where you're accelerating through different departments in a company so you can get your hands and see how everything else works. Then transition to a corporate company. Because what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with an understanding of structure and how to scale and how to have efficiencies that the small guys just don't get, because when you bring them both together and you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to own your own company, that's really where you can start cracking some huge gains and where you can really position yourself as an entrepreneur and a business owner to do something really big. You can take the best and worst of the big companies and you can take the best and worst of the small companies and you can bring them together and it'll really round you out. It's probably a 7 or 8 year process. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be short, but it's going to position you to get exactly where you want to go. So stop looking at, hey, I've got to get where I want to go today, and start looking at, hey, what's my plan, my strategic plan, where I can start moving forward today in the direction that I know confidently is going to take me closer to where I ultimately want to be. Very few people, very few millennials actually operate with this level of focus and discipline. And I think that's why so many people end up unhappy, disengaged, no purpose. They hate their job. They bounce around all over the place because they've never figured out what their plan is. It's really this simple. Nobody ever sat down and had this conversation with me. Where do you want to end up? I had to do it on my own, and it took me till I was 26 years old to figure it out. So maybe you're 30, maybe you're 35, maybe you're 40, maybe you're 20, maybe you're 16. I don't know how old you are, but you need to figure out where you want to go. Work your way all the way back, How much do you need? Like work all the math out. Follow the 3 steps here. I promise you, you're going to be more confident. You're going to be more focused. You're going to be more motivated. You're going to be more disciplined. You're going to be more inspired because you know you're moving closer to your goal every day rather than just showing up and not doing that, right? So let's go to some callers. We got full phones here. Let's go to Daryl in South Africa. Daryl, what's going on, man?
Hey, Jared. Not too much. I just wanted to call in and say I appreciate you and Grant and all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Appreciate the call. What do you do for work?
Currently, I'm actually working for myself, but I did just want to mention the 10X Rule book. I read it 5 years ago, and it got me in my job. So I would recommend that book to anyone that's watching this today. To read that book because I read that book when I didn't have a job, and it actually helped me apply the rules in the book and get a job. So I just wanted to mention that to all the young hustlers out there. The 10X rule really helps because one of the quotes in there says, you don't have a job, but your job is to get a job. And that really stuck with me and helped me.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome, Daryl. And for anybody that's like, you've worked through this process and now you've identified who in your area or who outside of your area in a different state you want to go work for, Grant also created a YouTube series called How to Get a Job in 36 Hours or Less. And he goes through step-by-step everything you need to do in order to land your dream job. So, great. Did you have a question, Daryl?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm starting over again. Basically, I'm unemployed. I was with my dream job that I did get. I was working in the Cayman Islands for 5 years, and now I'm back in South Africa, and I'm going to start it on my own, doing what I want to do this time around.
That's fantastic, man. Congratulations.
I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Thank you so much for the call, and best of luck to you. Next caller we got... By the way, did you guys sign up for the big announcement, 5 p.m. East Coast Standard Time today on Facebook? You can register for the event so you get a reminder, or you go to 10xgrowthcon.com/live at 5 p.m. Did you do that yet? Get it done. Come on. Who we got, Natalie?
I got Janet in Vancouver.
Janet, Vancouver. What's happening?
Good. How are you? Actually, you know what? This is my first phone call, so...
First time caller. Yay! Hey.
And I'm sorry, but I actually wasn't sure what I was signing up for because I was like, oh, I see something live, and I just clicked on it.
Wow. Okay. So, do you watch the show?
I literally just joined 3 days ago. I watched briefly, somewhat, but not really.
So basically, the show's about career, sales, advice. Today we're talking about how to land your first job, your first real job that actually gets you on track to where you want to go in life. Do you have anything insightful to add?
Okay. Well, regarding that question, so I do already have a job, but it's like I know that's why I started getting to Grant Cardone with the whole 10X. And how do you make that shift? Because now I'm content with where I'm at, but it's like from going to a certain amount of number per month to like the next level.
Yeah, so are you in the type of job, Janet, that you have control over that, or do you earn like a fixed income? Like, are you just on like a salary?
No, I have control of that with my team.
Okay, cool.
I guess it's more of empowered, yeah.
Yeah. So now what you need to do is, okay, you're in a role where your production increase can directly impact your income. So you have to look at what are the factors that can contribute to making that happen. Number one is you made the first step. You started following Grant, and you're starting to consume all the information. That's really it's really key because your productivity lines up basically to three things: your attitude, your approach, and the level of activity that you take. And those three things are really going to predicate how much success you have. And if you're ever not getting where you want to go, you always want to revert back to that. We call it A cubed. Is your attitude good? Do you have the right approach? Because if you have the wrong approach, but you have a great attitude and you're taking a ton of activity, but Like, let's say I'm selling stuff and I've got a great attitude. I'm happy all the time, and I'm talking to a lot of people. But the second I get Johnny on the phone and Johnny's a CEO, I'm like, hey, yo, what's up, bro? Let's do a deal. Right? Like, totally the wrong approach. So no matter how good of an attitude that I have, no matter how many people I talk to, if I'm talking to them the wrong way, I'm never going to win. So attitude, approach, action, you've got to figure out which one of those things is out for you. It's always going to be one of them if you're not performing. Activity level is probably the easiest to control. Just doing the work, in my mind, doing the work, like making the call is the easiest thing to control. Attitude can sometimes be a little tricky to deal with. And then approach is directly related to your skill. So you just got to focus on the time to refine your craft and put the time in order to do that. So I hope that really helped out. Thanks so much for calling on the show. Janet from Vancouver. Natalie, who we got next? Nathan, what's going on?
How's it going?
What's up? Thanks for calling the show.
Am I talking to Jared?
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going, man?
What's up?
Hey, I wanted to give you guys a call today because I have a question, and I want to make sure I'm making the right choice, basically, as far as my career goes.
Okay.
I'm a life insurance agent. I started out at a really big agency. It had like a really uplifting atmosphere, really good training, and it was kind of what you were talking about today, like the big corporate sort of model. I worked there for about a year. I did pretty well, and then I came home actually to work for my family business, which is also an insurance agency. It's owned by my parents. I've been working there for a couple months, and during that time, I guess something just kind of changed, just from not having, the best leadership. It's kind of a small mom and pop shop, so there's not a lot of training. There's not a lot of, no element of like competition or anything like that. I'm basically cold calling by myself, and doing it in a real entrepreneurial way.
Uh-huh.
And I've gotten an opportunity to go work for a different agency, which kind of has a similar culture to the first one.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure, that I'm in the right place that's going to kind of push me and take my development to the next level. But I also, at the same time, of course, don't want to give up the chance of equity in my family's business. So what would you do in that situation, Jared?
Yeah, so I think what the decision that you're at is, have you learned enough to come into your family's business and make a big enough impact where that makes sense, like for me, it's like I'm searching for an example that might help, but I mean, I guess for me, it's like, are you in a position right now where, like, what's holding you back? Like obviously with where you're at right now, you feel like there's something that's holding you back in your family business. Like you're either not making the type of money you thought you should, you're not having as much fun as you thought you should. Like what's out?
It's really not that. The money's actually fine. It's just that I'm a young guy. This family business is in a very, very small town, about an hour and 15 minutes from any major city, about an hour from Pittsburgh. And I work with, two other guys. One of them is my dad. They're both in their late 50s. And I really just find myself wanting to be in an atmosphere where, I'm around other young people. The people there are competitive and motivated, because that, to me, is what keeps me that way. But you hate to abandon the money if you know it's going to be there.
Yeah, and
does that make sense?
Well, I mean, and the thing about insurance is you're building a book, right? Like you're building a book of business. So, like, have you talked to your dad about like what his plan is, what his how long he wants to do it, and where he's going to go, when he's going to retire? Have you talked to him about that at all?
He's probably going to go in about 5 to 7 years.
So, I think that would be important for me too. I mean, if my dad owned a business and I knew that there was a big opportunity for me there to take a family business, something that my dad started, to take it over and continue to grow it and expand it. Me personally, I would want to do that. Like, I would want to build my family thing out because it's mine and it's ownership and it's something that I could pass on. But
yeah, that makes sense.
Like you gotta understand. Like, I would want to know. I'd be like, hey, Dad, I want to have a conversation with you because I like what I'm doing here. I'm making money. It's all good, but like, I need to know what your plan is when you leave here because I want to make sure that I'm investing the next 10 years of my life in the right opportunity. And if maybe you want to go start your own agency, I don't know, outside of what your dad did. I'm guessing he's probably going to turn the book of business over to you and he's just going to take a piece of it, or he's going to sell you the book of business. So
yeah, it would be something similar to that. The only thing is, it's almost like a logistical thing. It's just where the business is, pretty deep in rural America. That's not really where I want to live.
Yeah. So dude, these are
the longer I stay.
These are
the dilemma.
Yeah, these are all things that you have to factor into your decision. Like, how big can it be in the city that you're in? Like, how big can that business get? Because if that business
that's my main concern.
If that business can only get big enough for you to make $100,000 a year, and you're living in a small town and you just don't want to be there, then, dude, 100% for sure, go do something else. Like, that's where I said you got to envision. Like, the very first thing we talked about today is, where do you want to end up? Dude, maybe you want to live on a beach somewhere. Maybe you want to live in New York City. Maybe you want to live in Las Vegas. I don't know. Like, figure out what you want. Like, people think that because you're working for somebody else, you're stuck living a life serving somebody else. Like, people are like, oh, wow, hey, Jared, don't you want to start your own business and be your own boss? I'm like, dude, I am getting exactly where I want to go every single day when I show up here. Like, every single day I show up, I'm getting closer to where I want to go. And this is the right vehicle, it's the right time, it's the right opportunity, and it gets me closer to where I want to go. So you've got to have confidence that every single day when you show up, you're getting closer to where you want to go. Otherwise, you're going to have all kinds of issues. If there's bullshit going on in your office or at work or in your personal life or whatever, and then you got to show up to somewhere and you know that it's not getting you closer to where you really want to be, dude, it's going to be so easy for you to just kick it to the side, forget about it, to give up, to whatever. Like you've got to know confidently where you want to go. And if you want to be, what state do you live in? Pennsylvania? Let's say you want to live in Philadelphia, or if you want to live in New York City, or you want to live in Atlantic City by the beach. I don't know. Like, you need to start making moves that are going to get you there. Like, how long do you want it to take? What kind of house do you want to live in? How much money is that going to take? Do your kids go to private school? Do you want them to? How much money is that going to take? Like, you got to spend the time to do all the work. If you can't spend the time doing the work to plan out where you want to go, you're going to spend time working for somebody else in a job that you hate that's taking you nowhere. So, like, this is very serious, and it's probably one of the top questions that people DM me about is career stuff. How do I get the first job? How do I know I'm in the right job? Where do I go next? Like, you've got to know where you're going to know if you're in the right bus. So, man, I really hope that helped, Nathan. Thanks for the call. Great question. Who we got next? Michelle from Kentucky. How are you, Michelle?
Hey, I'm fine. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I'm in the midst of a career change, so I'm looking for my first job in my new career in the IT field. I've been doing plenty of training in it, and I've come across some small companies of like 8, 9, 10 people that I would like to apply to or try to get a job at. But the thing is, I have not been able to come across through networking, LinkedIn, anybody who works there or anybody who knows anybody who works there. So if I have to cold call these companies, what would you suggest I say when I cold call?
Hi, my name's Michelle, and I can do X, Y, and Z for you. I'd love to talk to you about working with your company.
Okay.
Who's the right person to talk to? I mean, like, it's that easy.
Okay.
Don't complicate it. That's the easy part. The hardest part is walking through the front doors of the office. What you say really doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, you got to cross that first bridge, which is get through the front doors. So whether that's a cold call on the phone, I mean, like, what you're in Kentucky?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. If you gave me the name of a company in Louisville, Kentucky, I don't care what the company is or what they do, in 6 minutes, I could tell you the executive or the owner of the company and how to get a hold of them.
Okay. Because I've done like Google searches on how to come across company owners' names, and with some of these
Give me the name of a company. Give me the name of a
anything.
company. Give me the name of a company in Louisville, Kentucky that you want to work for.
Okay, Total Network Designs.
Total Network Designs. Louisville,
Yes.
Kentucky. Okay, Total Network Designs, Louisville, Kentucky. Hold, please.
Thanks for calling Total Network Designs. This is Jake speaking.
Hey, Jake. How's it going? My name's Jared. I was interested in potentially coming to join your organization. I'm an IT professional. Who'd be the right person to talk to at the company about that?
Well, to be honest, I don't know that we really have any positions open at this time.
I completely understand that. I just really want to give my information, pass it along, so in the case that you guys are looking for somebody, I'm first considered. Who would be the person to talk to over there for that?
I could take care of that. If you want to send over any information, my email address is reception. TND Tom Nancy David USA.com.
Awesome. How long have you worked there, Jake?
Coming up on 5 years.
Awesome. You enjoy your job?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you? Is this like a family-owned company or?
Yes, it is. We're a small business.
Okay. So is your family own the company?
No, friend of family.
Oh, friend of the family. Okay, cool. Who's the person that owns the company?
His name's Dimitri, but he has a partner as well.
Dimitri? Awesome. Good deal. All right, Jake, I really appreciate your time. Thanks.
No problem.
So Dimitri is the person you need to talk to at Total Network Designs in Louisville, Kentucky, and their phone number is right here.
Okay, I can find it because I've already got the phone number.
Yeah, so I mean,
it
just
exactly what to say.
Yeah, it was just a phone call and an ask, and they're like, "Hey, we're a really small company. I don't think we need anybody right now." So, you know.
But like you said, I just want to get my foot in the door, get my information in front of them.
Yeah, and then you get a hold of the right person, and then you can start working them through there. So now I know that Dimitri's the person who owns it. So then I'm going to add Dimitri to the search. Dimitri Schifrin is his name.
Okay.
So now I can go Dimitri Schifrin. He's the principal. Let me see if Dimitri Schifrin has a LinkedIn profile. Louisville, Kentucky, IT consultant, Dimitri Schifrin. Okay, third connection, 12 years, 206 Old Harrods Creek Road. So now I can find his LinkedIn profile. He may not be active because he doesn't have
LinkedIn. I'll take it from there.
He doesn't have a picture in his profile, so he may not be active.
Okay.
So maybe I want to go to Facebook or Instagram or something like that. But I mean, you know, just pick up the phone and make the call.
Perfect.
Okay?
Now I know exactly what to say. Thanks very much.
There you go. Thanks so much. Take care. All right, guys. It's that easy. Want to find your dream job? Pick up the phone and make the call. Right? Number one, figure out where you want to end up. If you do not know where you want to go, I can't stress the importance of this. If you don't take the time to map out where you want to go, it's going to be impossible to know what is the first right step to take. Number two, you got to decide if you're going to go work for a company so you can learn and get your hands on a lot of different things, or if you're going to go the corporate route and learn the structure, the scale, the processes. In a perfect world, I think that you'd have a little bit of both so that as an entrepreneur, you'd have the best of both worlds, right? And then number three, who's got my money? Who's the business that I can contact? In this case, it was Total Network Designs in Louisville, Kentucky, and all it took was a phone call to find out they may not be hiring, they may not be a target, so now you got to have 30 or 40 of these so that you can go after them with precision and just ping, 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 like you'd go after a deal. So I really hope that was helpful for you guys. Go back and rewatch the show if you need to. If you've got questions, hit me up on Instagram. I promise you, I try to get to all of them. It may take me a little bit of time, but I will. Major announcement, massive announcement today at 5 o'clock. You want to be there. You will be rewarded for being there. 10xgrowthcon.com/live at 5 p.m. Much easier if you just go down in the Facebook stream, click on Grant's page, and go ahead and register for the event. There's going to be a live stream tonight at 5 p.m. where we're going to make a big announcement. You want to be there, register for it so you get a reminder, you're there on time, and you can be first to hear the massive news for the 10X Growth Conference that we have. Really appreciate you being on the show. So grateful that you guys spent an hour of your time with me. Looking forward to spending more time with you over the next week, answering your questions on social. Post your comments below, share the podcast, share the stream, write, rate, read, review, subscribe, do it all. Do it all. Get the message out there. And remember, the only people that condemn the hustle are the ones who've already given up on the hustle themselves. We'll see you next week.
Mr. Cardone, this is Vince Del Monte. One of your sales guys just called me and asked if I'd got any results since your 3-day sales boot camp, and I said, you better believe it. It's over $200,000 in 30 days.
Without that boot camp, we wouldn't have had a good system in place, and thanks to Grant and thanks to that boot camp, we went from 200,000 to 600,000.
And since that boot camp, man, my income went from about 6,000 now to 11,500, almost 12,000, and this is just starting, man.
I would recommend for anybody that is interested in increasing their sales, increasing their profit, they've got to get to the next boot camp.
I've doubled my business in the first probably 2 months of the program.
Before the program, I was struggling to find leads and really build my network marketing business. Now, since being in the program, I'm number 16 right now on the leaderboard in my company with hundreds of thousands of promoters.
Hey, welcome to our Friday mentoring show. Welcome, welcome. Jared Glant here. Good to have you guys here. We got a bunch of people joining us around the world.
98% of you said that you'd do the group again. Would you do the group again?
You guys need to be here at the next GrowthCon and take advantage of the mentor group. Just an amazing, life-changing experience.
The big thing about this group I want to tell everybody is the people I've met. I've expanded my network so far already, I can't even explain to you I was in this little shell.